Hey guys, it's Kane. Welcome to another Autism Digest interview, where today we have someone who I'm incredibly excited to talk to. By the time this interview releases, it'll be the birthday of the late great reggae legend Bob Marley. So I
Yay!
figured it was only right to have his daughter join us today, the amazing Sharon Marley. Thanks for coming on,
Yay!
Sharon.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a perfect timing because we've been trying to get together since last year.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's perfect how everything works out.
Exactly. That's just how the
Yeah.
world works. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people definitely remember the Marley family name. Your family is music royalty, but for those that may
Thank
not
you.
know, do you mind telling a bit of your story in your own words?
Well, my story is about a family who left from the ghetto and moved uptown. That's basically the short version of my story because my brothers and sisters and I, we were born in Trenchtown, Jamaica, which is known as the ghetto. You know, so is my mother, Rita Marley. She was born in Trenchtown, and Bob was actually born in Saint Anne, which is in the country, the very remote hills of Saint Anne. So he moved to Trenchtown when he was like a young teenager, and that's where he met my mother. They were both young, maybe 17, 18. And then we were born in Trenchtown. My parents were great entertainers. They've been singing from they were young. My mother won her first award when she was about 10 years old in a talent competition for singing the Lord's Prayer. And so when she met Bob, it was like you and I meeting, it was like ordained that that meeting happened. And then from that meeting came Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers, which is my singing group. We toured together for about, I want to say 25 years. We've won a couple Grammys together, my group. And then we went separate directions. Steve has won more Grammys. Ziggy has won more Grammys. And I'm putting out my first, I want to say my first album solo, my first solo album. So that's, our story goes on and on. Bob went on to become, epitome of the greatest reggae musician from Jamaica. And my mother went on to become a number one, had her number one chart topping song, which is called One Draw. I don't know if you've ever heard that song, but
I haven't.
you haven't? It says, I want to get high, so high. One draw, one draw. Hey, Rastaman, hey, what you say? Give me some of your sensei. And you know that they say they're now using marijuana as a part of a treatment for autism. So marijuana has come a long way. But yeah, my mother had a number one song singing about marijuana. And so my family is very historic. It's historic, and like you said, there'd probably be never be another singer like him. He encompassed a lot of hearts, and passion and peace and love. And I mean, there are a lot of countries that gained their independence because of his music. His music incited them to fight for freedom. Libya is one of the main ones I remember. Um, Zimbabwe. I mean, I could go on and on, but I know we don't have a long time. But yeah, that's the long and short of our story. You know.
And look at where it's headed. Yeah, you guys, as I said, are music royalty,
Yeah.
and I think it's incredibly important that we, in today's age of artificial intelligence, we preserve these legacies by having the
Yes.
family members have platforms like this. So it's
Yes.
definitely a
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking with you. Which
Thank
leads
you
to my
for
next
that.
question. Do you have any experiences interacting with the autism community that you want to discuss?
Well, I don't want to say thrown in the autism community, but I now have a grandchild who is diagnosed on the spectrum. He's going to be 13 in a few days, and that's what really encouraged me to learn more about autism and try to have a platform where I invite people in to my life who is dealing with family members with autism because, especially in Jamaica, people don't like to talk about it, and they hide the children and get into trouble because they don't, their child did something, and because they can't explain it, the child is seen as being rude. So I've joined platform with what's the name of hotel in Jamaica? Sandals Jamaica, the hotel Sandals Jamaica. I've joined a platform with them into training caregivers for children with autism, where we invite the parents in, inform them more about children on the spectrum, what we know. Doctors are invited in to speak to these parents, assess the children, as well as caregivers, practitioners who are out there working with children to learn how to identify autism and what to do, what's the process to get the child assessed. So that started last year with Sandals Foundation and the Rita Marley Foundation. So, and the program is really sponsored by the World Health Organization and Autism Speaks. So, I'm starting from my country. I don't know where it's going to go. I might go to our next country and train caregivers there. But for now, we're working with the Caregivers Skill Training Program in Jamaica.
That's awesome. I definitely love how you mentioned that Jamaica doesn't understand autism. I think a lot of countries don't.
Yes.
Here in the States, we're getting better, and I was lucky enough to have access to some of the best resources in the world.
Yes. Yes.
We still misunderstand autism here, especially with the RFK stuff going on. But I think if we were to spread programs like yours throughout the world, we'd never have any misunderstandings about autism ever. And so I'm glad you're doing that work, which leads perfectly into my next question. By the time this releases, it'll be Bob Marley's birthday. What do you think is the appeal of his music to the autism community?
Well, you tell me because I think you probably experience the autism community more than I do. So you tell me because the principal at my grandson's school, a couple parents she's told me, a couple parents, their children can't do without hearing the Bob Marley song, Don't Worry About a Thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. Every morning they go in the car, take him or her to school, they have to play that Bob Marley song. So you tell me, how is Bob Marley music affecting the autism community? What do you think?
Oh, oh, that's a really good question. I think not just for the autism community specifically, but with all marginalized groups, especially in today's politically divided world, it gives people hope. All of Bob Marley's music was about peace, love, and
Yes.
positivity,
Yes.
and making people feel heard, which is exactly what we need right now.
Yes. 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 And that is Bob Marley music is that way for everybody, not just people with special needs, but for everybody under any kind of down pressure. You know what down pressure is? Anybody that's being held down. His music is for those people who can't speak, for those people who can't defend themselves for whatever reason. His music is basically for them, you
I
know?
absolutely agree. I've never heard the term down pressing until today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, but you're exactly right. Which leads to my next question for you. How can we be more empathetic in our society to people's situations without judging them by standards in a divided world?
Well, I can only do what I can only do. Every person, in my opinion, can do something, no matter what it is. Um, Even if it's just stopping to let somebody go ahead of you when you're on the road, or pulling over somebody want to pass you on the road. Because no, this thing with road rage. Why is it road rage? Why can't we all give each other the space to drive? So I think if individual persons take responsibility to be more caring in their society, no matter what kind of people are in the society, but to be more conscious, of being considerate. I think too much of us are caught up in our own square, that we're not looking outside of the box. Now, what I can do for autism, maybe not what the next person can do, but I have a platform where I can post about autism every day, where I can see what doctors are saying, where I can see what young practitioners are now saying, that persons with autism are not really sick, but they're the new genotype of what's coming in the next, I want to say, 30 years, that more persons are being born with autism every year. Every year. It increases. So one space mind of thinking is that, look, autism is going to be the new generation. They're coming in with all kind of intelligence. They can do telepathic communication. They can do math with their eyes closed. All these genius activities that persons with autism are coming in with. I see it the same way. That is a new generation, and we can learn so much from someone with this diagnosis. They're not just an empty space. There's so much to learn. But we as humans have grown up, have been raised to classify people and then treat them as such. But I've never been that way. I've always been very caring. I've always wanted to be a pediatrician, or a veterinarian, always wanting to take care of life, whether it is an animal's life or a human's life. So my perspective may be different, but if I see a stranger walking on the road with a heavy load and they're bent, I'm gonna stop and say, "Can I help you?" Even my children are like that. If they see somebody with a punctured tire, or someone riding in the rain, they'll stop and say, "Can I give you, a ride somewhere?" I've raised my children with that kind of empathy.
And I admire that my parents raised me to be empathetic towards others as well. And I think, like I've been saying throughout, that's exactly what we need right now.
Exactly. I
And I
think
think
so.
I
I
think
think
that's
so.
a beautiful way to end this interview. Anyways, that's going to do for this interview, guys. Thank you so much to Sharon for coming on and sharing her perspectives. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Autism Digest channel. Be on the lookout for our next issue. By the time this releases, it'll be out. Well, you can get that by going to autismdigest.com, and stay tuned for the audio file to be posted on our Spotify. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Love you.